Hey cinema fans, welcome back to another movie review. Today we got The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens loves the original trilogy so much, it's afraid to leave its side. But I will say this, The Force Awakens, out of the whole new trilogy, The Force Awakens, me personally, is my personal favorite because it is a love letter to the original trilogy, what came before, but also a love letter to the new fans that have not been introduced to the Star Wars universe, even with the prequels for the new generation. And yes, there's a lot of people, a whole nother generation that appreciates the sequel trilogy, just as there was, like for me and my generation, how much we appreciated the prequel trilogy. But me personally, like looking back at the sequel trilogy, there's a lot of things that I appreciate from the sequel trilogy that we didn't get from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. But you know, the sequel trilogy is a whole nother conversation. We're talking about this film, and I love how this film pays homage to what came before, not just for the original trilogy, but also the prequels. Now, if you take away The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker and look at this film as in a different perspective, as just one film, a Star Wars film, it's really, I think that's the problem with this film and the sequel trilogy. It's looked at as a group trilogy, which, I mean, if you look at the prequel and the original, of course people are going to do that. But if you look at, like, for instance, Star Wars: The New Hope, you look at that film as a single film. And you look at Empire Strikes Back, arguably probably one of the best Star Wars films to a lot of people. And then there's Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith. So I encourage you, if you were to rewatch this film and try to get a different perspective, look at this film as a one film, one Star Wars film. It gives you that Star Wars pop. It gives you that Star Wars flavor, introducing new characters by also reintroducing the old characters. And again, I encourage you to not think of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, because what they do in The Force Awakens doesn't really pay off in The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But in this film, it does a perfectly blend of character relationships and building off each other, blending in from the old and new. You got Kylo Ren, which can be debated as a little bit of a whiny guy, but me personally, I liked him. Han Solo did his thing. Leia, when she showed up, did her thing. My favorite character out of this whole film, well, two characters, is Finn and Rey. Poe Dameron did his thing, and the little cameo at the end for Luke Skywalker, that's cool. Plasma, whatever her name was, she was totally wasted. Not in this film, but the whole trilogy. But honestly, my favorite character is Finn and Rey and their whole relationship. I wish they've built that more into the whole sequel trilogy, but in this film, they did it very well. The acting was amazing. I love how they used practical effects instead of special effects and CGI, which I appreciate. I mean, they do have it in here, but there's more practical effects besides the prequel CGI mess, which is okay for what it was. But, you know, the sequel trilogy did something where, again, blended the old and new. And as always, the score is always phenomenal. I love the score. And this film, I have to give it a solid 8 out of 10, just a solid 8.